including John Yarmouth over in the really did nothing. We really obtained nothing for these bridges, okay? And for what it's worth, of that 3.85 billion, which sounded like a lot that Daniel's got, that's all targeted and finished by 2016. Okay, so that's going to be gone. Mm-hmm. So we got some real issues with that, okay? But you're correct, Todd Young at the Tea Party said there wasn't anything he could do about them. And that just didn't go over real well. Okay, he did nothing.
Yes?
Right now, we have a pain management clinic that we're having a problem with, that is a city problem, that we are going through the state to Ron Bruce and Stemler, trying to do something on a state level. Is there anything ever been thought about doing on a federal level where when a state like Kentucky passes laws, in which they did, to stop their people from moving right over to the next state? You know, could there something be somewhere along the line of federal law that all the states are the same on that? So you wouldn't have them moving all back and forth from just from state to state.
I know there is some discussion to talk about a federal legislation, but we have something that's actually in place right now that could be beneficial, that is run here in the state, that receives 2/3 of its funding from a federal grant, and it's a statewide database that tracks narcotics and those who prescribe the narcotics. And physicians, pharmacists need to go on and see who's already been prescribed these medications, just to be able to have better overall, I guess, regulating how these narcotics are being prescribed. So physicians are more aware, so that we can start really helping people and not harming them in the long run.
We're assuming that that's done, that, you know, that, I mean, that's all well and good tracking it and all that, but that still is really not helping us with 100 to 150 cars a day traveling up down Maple Street, you know.
Yes, no, that's right. And there are some states that definitely have more stringent laws in place. And I think that hopefully we will this new year in the State House pass something, start addressing this issue. As I travel throughout the district, I've met with actually 7 of our 13 sheriffs, and toured the jails. This issue is one of the biggest issues that we have going on right now. Drug use, and it is serious. We right now are looking at our jails as holding places. There is no prevention that's going on, and we must begin addressing the prevention piece, the rehabilitation piece. We can't use our funds just to house people who have addiction, because the recurrence of arrests and people who are using that as a place to stay is draining the system, and it's an ineffective one. And so this is a problem throughout the entire district. We look at that. But what I was going to say is that database, the funding will need to be renewed again this year. If that database goes away, there's no way for physicians to be able to track who's writing scripts and who isn't.
They can't check across state lines, though. So
right, exactly. It's just in the state.
And then they just go out to fill in wherever they can.
Yes,
it
is definitely a problem. Mm-hmm.
And that might be a way a congressional office could help, because it would simply take a little tweaking for border states.
Exactly, to be able to correspond.
Mm-hmm. So I would really hope that
a lot of people are dying from this problem.
And communities are definitely reeling from the impact of these facilities. And I met a woman, it was just a happenstance. She was sitting under a tree at the Johnson County fair. I just walked up to her and I introduced myself. And her son had been shot by her nephew. He had just gotten out of a clinic and a meth, looking to help them. And as a matter of fact, it actually made him more addicted. And we just sat there and listened to this woman's heartbreaking story. And here we are. We must begin addressing this as a country. It's not something that people are talking about. It's, I think, either uninteresting or unimportant, but here in the 9th District, it's important. You hear it again and again as we talk to police officers and our, those who are in the law enforcement dealing with this and community breakdown.
Shelli, where is that on your list of priorities?
Well, it's getting higher because I hear it again and again. We must respond. It wasn't something that was on my radar, quite honestly.
40 people have died in Austin, Indiana from opioid overdose. This
40.
year- This year alone, yes.
No, that's not quite right, but it was 33 from January of 2011. I used to be the prevention person here, that's why, but they do have a bad problem with it. And they're trying to address it, but yeah, there's deaths. The coroner quit, he couldn't handle it anymore. There were young people dying by mixing medications. And so it's an epidemic. If that many people died of West Nile, there would be the whole resources of the whole federal and state government helping, but because it's painkillers they're dying from, it's somehow we're not.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to interrupt. We are going to be hitting the road here, actually right now.
To answer your question, it wasn't, because it wasn't on my radar, but because so many people have brought it up to me, families, mothers, sheriffs, community leaders, have said this is a problem in our community. It is an issue, and we must begin to address it. We must have the courage to address it and be creative in how we address this drug issue in our country.
Well, you would think that with the DEA monitoring already the disbursement of narcotics, you would think that they would be able to take it out of the state, at the level of state, and take it to a federal level and enlarge that database, get the DEA involved. Because where it's at now at the state level, it's only useful to that individual state.
That's right. And only 40% of all of our physicians actually use it, so that's all I'm going to say, which is a travesty. So it's even a problem here in the state. But thank you. Oh, yeah, right.
One more fast one, and this is going to kind of switch gears. Being that you're running for a federal office, we at the local levels have problems with the fact that the federal government is really good at sending down unfunded mandates. I mean, we are already sitting in dire straits with our budgets and everything.
Oh, yes.
But the federal and the state government want to tell us to do something, and we have to implement it, and then we have to pay for it.
Our
So,
firefighters
we can't afford it.
yes. This is another thing that comes up, that, you get these mandates, but no help in how to figure out how you're going to implement them and make those changes. So there again, communities aren't brought to the table. There's a lack of common sense coming out of Washington, and that's really important to me. We have to be able to, if we're going to begin these mandates, we have to at least reach out and say, give some guidance and some help to making them possible.
Well, I don't think we ever have a problem with guidance, we just have a problem with money.
That's good.
They're always willing to tell you.
Everybody has advice, that's
but
right.
They don't give you the money. And it's unjust for the county to be suffering when we've got bridges and
Yep.
roads and things that we need to take care of and employees, and we're spending county money on something that the federal government told us to do.
And I can tell you, Shelli, firsthand, I spent a year doing a Medicaid project in Kansas, and I had to go over to Kansas City to the feds to go over things, okay? Every week I went over there, okay, for one day for, I guess, about 3 months, and every time I went there was a different interpretation or a different change or an addition. And I'm telling you, in the healthcare, and I'm not going to refer to it as Obamacare, I'm talking about healthcare in general. You figure out when they forecast in 1966 that Medicare would run $12 billion in 1990 and it ran $107 billion, it gives you a rough idea. Governmental, intrusion into something, they don't know what they're doing, and they're changing. They don't read the bill. The people that get it don't know what they're talking about. 10 different agencies say, I want a part of it to justify their existence. They interpret it, they shove it down, and in comes all this stuff that you put up with the county, the doctors, the construction people and everything, they don't know what's going on. Les could probably tell you more about that than I could. Okay, but I mean, it's a mess, and you gotta get a systematic, controlled effort, and I'm finished, guy, okay? You can just, yeah, you can rush job from rush job and rush it. But anyhow, so you got some real issues. You gotta come to some sort of simplicity on it, and some sort of organized way of saying, yeah, there's 5 different agencies are with BP trying to dig all, they got to answer to all of them. One might conflict with the other, and it's a mess. And that results in what Rick talks about, amongst others.
Well, what were you
Good
saying?
luck.
All I said is how we're going to get to know you if we can't ask you the questions, if he's going to rush you out.
I mean, honestly, it's wonderful to be here. I also know there are other candidates. I know it's not, it was actually a forum for both candidates. I wish my opponent was here.
I don't have a problem with you saying I need to leave. This is a manner that was.
Oh, okay. And so I definitely want to make sure that other individuals, but I will say to that, I am here so often. I would love to come back. If you have
Stop
a
my
house
fault
party,
now.
if you have a house party, I'm running to be a representative. That means I need to hear from you. And that this relationship is one that's going to work both ways. I need to hear from you to find out what's happening in your communities. We have a big district, so email me. I have some flyers here. It has a phone number and my email address, and let me hear from you. So
One
yes.
quick, have you heard anything on the debate and where they're going to be? Because
Yes.
we have yet to receive word back from the other office.
It's going to be in, they have agreed to Corden, they have agreed to Franklin, and the reasoning is because the Herald Times, which is the Bloomington newspaper, came out and said 2 is fine, do any more, it's a waste of time for people, they can go online and do their research, and that's been the reaction from my opponent is, people have internet access today and they can go online and find out what their options are. We don't need to go to more than 2.
The league is trying to still, so will you still be available? Because we're not going to give up trying to get a debate in this area.
I'm definitely available. I think it's a league rule that unless both are there, I don't think I
Yeah,
can
it has to
come.
be both of them.
So we have actually accepted all the ones that we were invited to, which was 7. So when we put that back again, saying there are still 5 others that are available. Let's have open discussion about what's important to these communities. And to assume that families have access to the internet is out of touch. I mean, as I am in the district, more and more families do not have access to the internet. If that's the way people are going to be informed as our constituency, being an educated electorate, that is out of touch and unreasonable.
Agreed.
All right, thank you. Thank you.